Welcome to A24 Quest, episode 9. We are going to be watching Rampage after this, so let's take our time with this episode.
No.
Because hopefully we can miss the showing.
No. Because you forget that we have to eat before that.
Oh, that's true.
And if we don't eat before that, then we just don't eat and we go see Rampage hungry.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that'd be even worse, yeah.
Exactly. So
okay. So, this is like the polar opposite of last week. Last week was 2 very bad films. This week it's 2 very good films. So,
yeah,
I'm going to have a lot of fun.
All right. Let's kick it off with Ex Machina.
Sounds good. Disclaimer, I didn't rewatch this, but I have seen it about 4 times, I think. So I'm qualified to talk about it.
He was legally given a license.
Yes, right.
He went to the DMV and picked it up. It was a whole ordeal.
Yeah. Ex Machina is one of, well, not my favorite A24 movie anymore. It was for a while, but it's one of my favorite A24 movies. It stars Oscar Isaac, Domhnall Gleeson, how do you pronounce his name, Alicia Vikander. I'm closing my eyes because Josh is showing me the cast list, and I know I can do this from memory. I forget who else is in it.
Sonoya Mizuno.
Is she the Asian robot?
Yes.
I would assume so, yes. Spoiler alert.
I mean,
if you haven't seen Ex Machina by now, I mean, you should probably see it. I'm not going to full-on spoil it or anything, but it's pretty weird. Like I said, A24 was the first... Not A24. Ex Machina was the first A24 movie I saw. And it's kind of... The way I always looked at it is it's kind of like a Cabin in the Woods horror movie, except it's not a horror movie. It's like the Cabin in the Woods equivalent to sci-fi. You know what I mean? It's like Evil Dead with robots. No. Except not a horror movie. It's very much a... It's very much a scientific...
And not campy.
Not campy at all. But it's...
And not B. I wouldn't call this movie a B-ranked movie.
No. It's a... but like I said, it's a secluded cabin in the woods in which deadly things happen, potentially. Okay. And it's absolutely insane. And here's the story with Ex Machina. It came out 2015, correct? Or 2014. Okay. This is the... Geez, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the first R-rated movie I saw in the theater. Because 2014, I was...
Really?
Yeah, 2014, I was just turning 17. And therefore eligible to see... Is it 17 you have to be to see R-rated movies?
I believe so.
Yes. And I was just eligible to go see R-rated movies on my own. And this is coincidentally also the first movie I ever saw on my own. I think it's the first R-rated movie... No, not the first R-rated movie I saw in the theater. The first R-rated movie I legally saw in the theater. Because I had seen a few before that. Not, you know what I mean? Like the first one where I got in because I was 17, not because I was with like an adult, you know?
Yes.
I haven't snuck into movies or anything. I'm just talking about, as an adult, this is the first R-rated movie I went to go see on my own. And... I had no clue what I was in for. I didn't even know what A24 was. I was just like, whatever. This is just this weird artsy movie. It looks kind of interesting. And it's amazing. It's kind of, it kind of changed my life. Actually, I wouldn't go that far, but it was transformative for the kind of films that I see and enjoy. It's like, the reason I have such reverence for A24 is they taught me that there are still some excellent, like, consumable art films still coming out, and it like introduced me to this whole world of great filmmaking. So that's why I have a reverence for Ex Machina. You want to say something about it? Because I just went off on a whole thing there.
So Ex Machina is interesting. If you don't know about it, it's about this guy named Caleb, played by Domhnall Gleeson, who has been chosen by Oscar Isaac to come to a secret laboratory in the middle of nowhere and test his new AI named Ava, played by Alicia Vikander.
Laura Croft.
Laura Croft.
Yeah.
And essentially I mean, are we going to do spoilers? How far am I going to talk about the plot?
I would say mild spoiler warning because we're gonna, I would say don't
talk about the ending.
Don't talk about the ending too much because it's a good ending, and if somebody hasn't seen it, they should see it. But mild spoilers for the plot because it is
A24 request.
Yeah,
and we gotta have something. Yeah. So he goes to this lab and he meets Oscar Isaac, which is fantastic. He's so good in this movie. He's officially on my radar for people to keep an eye out on, just because after this and after what was the other one that he was in that we just watched?
A Most Violent Year.
A Most Violent Year. After that, I'm convinced that he's a great actor, and I should be watching more of his stuff.
Yeah, this is the first movie I saw Oscar Isaac in.
Me too.
A20. Yeah. I keep calling it A24 just because it's the A24 movie in my head. Ex Machina is the first movie I saw Oscar Isaac in, and I was like, wow, this guy's really good.
He is. And I didn't even recognize him in Star Wars as Poe Dameron.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't.
No,
not until you pointed it out.
I was looking forward to Star Wars because I was like, it's the dude from Ex Machina, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, Poe Dameron invites Caleb to his lab and says, hey, test out my AI. And he does. And he falls in love with her. Aww.
Mm-hmm. Completely organically and not planned out at all.
And then she starts creating power outages so that nobody can watch them. And she can tell him things in private. And what does she tell him, Colin?
She just wants to escape.
Oh, I was going to say make sweet love to me, but hey.
No.
Everybody wants their own thing.
That's... And this movie... if you've ever seen Her, this movie's similar but different.
I haven't.
You haven't?
I haven't.
Okay. Well, see it.
I should.
It's got similar themes to Ex Machina. Can you truly love something that's not human? Can you truly love artificial intelligence? Her takes a more romantic approach to it. Ex Machina takes a more scientific approach to it. Okay.
You know what? I think the answer to that is yes, you can love something, but I don't know if that something can love you back.
Yeah, that's actually the message of Ex Machina to a certain extent. Like I said, plot spoilers. The idea behind Ava is that she can't love, but she can make you think that she loves you to get what she wants, which is to escape from this place.
But the idea of Domhnall Gleeson coming in is to figure out if she actually can love or if she is faking it.
And Domhnall Gleeson learns that she's just the latest in a long series of failed prototypes for this AI.
Yeah.
And he thinks he loves her, and he thinks she's the one, and he wants her to escape, but she also wants to escape, so she uses the fact that he has feelings for her as a leverage to get out.
Yeah.
And it's this human drama between Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac, but ultimately it's like the AI was pulling the strings the whole time, which is the statement the film makes about this whole AI thing. It's that AIs are extremely dangerous. It's it's like Elon Musk must have written this.
Yeah, but it's solid through and through. You know, it's beautiful. The design behind it and the camera work is really good.
The visual effects, it won for visual effects, rightfully so, because it's a gorgeous movie. The effects for Ava are just mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. And the cinematography is amazing. Acting's great.
Acting is off the charts.
And it's got a lot going on. It's got that romance element that gets more and more sinister as the movie goes along.
And the thriller between Oscar Isaac and Domhnall Gleeson.
It's a thriller, I'd say. It's a sci-fi thriller. Yeah. It verges on like body horror at times. There's this scene where Domhnall Gleeson is looking at himself in the mirror, and I won't spoil what happens, but it's insane.
Well, he goes insane.
Yeah, he goes insane, and it's a joy to behold, and it's an excellent movie. And I went out and I was like, I got out of the theater and I was like, this is, I felt changed because it and There Will Be Blood are what I a tribute to me being a pretentious film snob, basically. Those two movies.
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick rundown of what IMDb says about this movie. It gives it a 7.7 for user reviews and a 78 for Metacritic score.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's no masterpiece at all, but it's still probably one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's certainly up there. As far as scores go, I'm probably going to give this high.
I think it's a 9.
Like
for
a
me.
9, 8 or 9, like
Yeah.
8.5 or 9. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
fantastic. And the director, what's his name?
Alex Garland.
Yes, Alex Garland's next movie,
Annihilation.
Annihilation, was really not good. And this gives context. When we talked about Annihilation, I think, of course, I mentioned Ex Machina a lot. I feel like I did. This gives context so you know how I feel about Ex Machina, and that's why Annihilation, I was so baffled by how it turned out. Because Ex Machina is so tight in its story. Like, there's no room for... Well, there's a little room for interpretation, especially with, like, the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But... it's pretty straightforward as like artistic films go, and it's very, very, very good, and that's about all I can say about it. I'm gonna run out of adjectives to describe this movie. Just watch it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about our next one. It's also very good.
Yeah.
And probably deserves more what would we call this? It's not screen time. It would be audio time. That sounds really bad.
Yeah. Ex Machina is like a cut and dry. Everybody should see it. We've talked about it a lot. It's one of my favorite movies. But Florida Project, we both saw it for the first time.
Yeah.
Therefore, we should talk about it a little more so we can get our first impressions out. I just watched it this morning.
So the Florida Project came out last year, runs about 2 hours, and it's a drama about a 6-year-old child and her friends, essentially living with her mom at a motel.
It's like a hotel that's people are kind of living in, but they're not supposed to be. And there's a scene where Willem Dafoe, the manager of the place, he has to move the main characters from one room to another so he doesn't get charged with vacancy.
Yeah, so it's not considered
charged with
housing,
whatever. He uses a legal term. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
So it's the idea behind it is it's in Florida, obviously, and it's like the slummy area around in the shadow of Disney World, where like the pinnacle of like extravagant tourism is right around the corner, and we're seeing the scummy, slummy, poverty-ridden underbelly of Florida. And I don't mean that as a disrespect. I'm just meaning this is a very realistic portrayal of poverty, and it's kind of gross and kind of off-putting.
Well,
and that's the point.
Yeah, you say that. It's through the eyes of a 6-year-old, though. So it's
well,
very
a lot of it's through the eyes of the 6-year-old. A lot of it's also through the eyes of the mother, who is just Well, let's just jump in with the mother. What do you think about the mother's character?
Well, let's start off. This movie is essentially the idea of making the best out of a bad situation.
Right, yeah.
As far as the children go. Mm-hmm. So they're living...
And also as far as the mother goes, but in like a different way.
Yeah. So they're living with a mother that is bouncing around through this motel, and she is having money issues. She's very poor. She can't afford... anything really. Like, she shouldn't be spending any money because of how poor she actually is, and it should all be going to rent and food.
Yeah, well, it's like there's that line she has in the movie. It's like, I would cook them food, but Lunchables are $1.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with her.
Mm-hmm. And so she is then throughout the movie, and this is spoilers until the very end. Yeah. We won't talk about the ending once
Same. Well, actually, I would like to discuss the ending, so maybe we'll have a spoiler segment. But
Okay.
Same deal with Ex Machina, mild spoilers, but don't worry about it.
So the mother isn't really a big problem. She's like swearing and smoking in front of kids, and I just didn't want to admit that thing that she's smoking is probably drugs, but then you later find out it is. So she is in an apartment smoking marijuana, and swearing in front of children
and encouraging trashy behavior.
Yeah.
And encouraging crime. And I saw somebody in the Discord say, it was Cav. I don't know. I was going to say, should I call them out or not? No, it's fine. I'm not going to. I'm just going to strongly disagree with what Cav said. She said it's the mother's a likable character. I disagree. I think she's kind of an awful human being to a certain extent. But I see why they wrote her that way. The idea is she wants to, she wants to care for the kids, but she just cannot, and she can't accept that. Like she's not in a place where she can do that. And of course, CPS shows up.
Yeah.
And when CPS shows up, it's a very emotionally conflicting moment for me, because it's like, for the kid to get taken out of this environment would probably be a good thing, but like at the very end there, you're like, is it the best thing? Like it. Yeah. It's the fact that this movie, I never got a strong grasp on how I feel about the characters and the situation. I was constantly like weighing all the pros and cons about everything that's going on. The fact that it does it like that is good. It's very not cut and dry. Like, Ex Machina is cut and dry. This is not cut and dry. It's very... You can interpret it how you want. It's like, some would think, the mother's just doing the best for her kids. I would disagree, but, like, I can see why you'd think that,
I mean, so let's talk about the mom a little bit more. She is prostituting herself. About midway through the movie, she starts prostituting herself.
They did that in a really interesting way, by the way. There's multiple scenes where they show the kid in the bath with music playing in the background, and they keep showing this, like, in different occasions. And I was like, why do they keep showing the kid in the bath with music playing in the background? And then once
without the mom. Yeah, and that started a little ways into the movie.
And it kept happening, and I was like, are they going to explain why this is happening? It seems kind of random. And then one of the times, like, a guy walks in, and he's like, you didn't tell me there was a kid in here, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is really messed up.
So, she's prostituting herself to make money, and then spending that money on food, rent, toys, weed. Yes. Things that should be spent on, things that it should be used for, and then things that it definitely should not be used for at this current point in time. Yeah. Because there's bigger and better things that it needs to be used for.
Right, yeah.
Because then she proceeds to say that I'm still poor and I can't afford next month's rent. So...
Yeah. But that's the thing is, like, it's a difficult... The morality is, again, not cut and dry of this. It's a difficult thing to talk about, because it's like, yes, she's spending the money probably... in a not very wise way, but there's also the systematic thing of, like, addiction, and like this poverty is just this self-sustaining cycle, and people are just fall victim to it. And that's why this movie's skewed morality really interests me, because it's a thought-provoking movie. And then I had a really, really interesting time. Like, I didn't want it to end, which is surprising to me, because the whole movie's so unpleasant. Like, it's very gritty, very gross, very horrific. But I found myself looking at the runtime, and there's like 20 minutes left, and I'm like, oh man, I want to see more of this. I want to see where this is going.
I know I paused it at probably 45 or an hour into it. Yeah. And I looked at the runtime. I'm like, we're only halfway through. I thought this thing was like shorter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it also kind of felt a little longer, because, like I said, I've got internet issues. So.
Well, and one of the things is I'm watching this, and it literally just takes you day by day throughout the whole movie. It feels just one day after another, just one step at a time, and how it all just kind of devolves into madness. Yeah. It just gets worse and worse, and then you find out more about certain people, and it gets worse and worse.
Because it's the it reminded me of Room in a sense, because, like you said, a lot of it is told through the eyes of the kids, and it's like you feel like certain unpleasant details aren't told to you directly because the kids don't understand them. But you, as an adult watching this film, can imply what's happening, but it's not like shown directly. You know, it's like the bath thing. We see the kid in the bath, and at a certain point, we do know what's happening in the other room, but we know that, but we just see the kid in the bath who's just blissfully unaware. And I like movies like that where it's told from the childish perspective of very adult themes.
Or the kind man that goes and talks to them on the benches.
Right. Oh, that brings me to I want to really talk about Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, let's save him for a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Because that's going to be a good one. But,
yeah.
So, this movie does a lot of really interesting things. I mean, one of the first things that you notice right off the bat is this is one of the most colorful movies I've ever seen.
Oh, this is such a pretty movie.
It's just saturated with color.
I was watching it, I think... In A24 Quest, I talk about cinematography way too much, I think, because I've stated it's very important to me. And I was telling myself, okay, this is a very pretty movie, but I'm not going to talk about that as much. But as the movie went on, I was like, I can't not talk about this. This is
it's part of movies.
It's a gorgeously shot movie, and there's so many scenes that are just phenomenal. There very rarely are there movies where like a scene starts and I like will actually have like a visceral reaction to how pretty the shot is. The scene starts and I'm just like, oh wow, you know.
Yeah.
It's it's like good cinematography, you don't notice it. Great cinematography, you notice it in the best possible way, you know.
Well, I mean, the very very first scene shows you how colorful this movie is going to be. It opens and it's just vibrant purple.
Yeah, exactly. The colors are vibrant, and that's
just in your face with two kids sitting there. One of them in this bright yellow like shirt or tank top or whatever, and it's just in your face. And that's a great start to teach you how the rest of this movie is going to look like.
Yeah, because it's this interesting dynamic of it's such a colorless world, but it's in the metaphorical sense. But these kids. It's such a drab, gritty world, but these kids add a little color to it, and as such, there's areas that are like horribly crippled by poverty, but you see just this colorful house in the background, and it's just like stuff like that, you know. It's just this little semblance of innocence and humanity in this just completely. Screwed up world, and it's wonderful. I like it when it feels very intentional, and I like it when it's clear that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
and it's very wonderful.
So I mean, as far as design choices and then like cinematography goes, this movie is top of the charts. I gotta say that the actor that played Monet or Mooney.
Yeah.
She was fantastic.
Yeah, for a kid actor, she was
playing a 6-year-old and she was 7. And she did everything I think of when I think of 6-year-olds. Like, everything. Obnoxious.
Yeah.
Constantly making noise. Yeah.
For sure. The kids were annoying, but it was annoying in like a real kids would be like this way. Yeah. So it's like, you know, I can't fault them. I can't fault them for annoying me because that's very much realistic, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, it was incredibly realistic as far as children go. You know, they'd buy an ice cream together and then they'd share it because who cares about germs at the age of 6? They'd run around and go get into trouble. They'd play tag and hide and seek and
burn a house down. All the normal things.
All the normal things. Yeah.
And there's a scene near the end where the actress playing Mooney, she's crying, and I was like, is she acting or is she like?
Was she just like hit and then the camera pointed at her?
Because I was like, this is too real. It was very, very unsettling because it's just like, this. You get a visceral reaction from just a kid just completely sobbing, and I saw it and it hit me and I was like, wow, this is not like, this is real crying. And it's Yeah, it's just kind of the kind of movie you're watching. It's very visceral.
So yeah, I give her props. I give the mother props because she was a very good actor, whether or not her character was a very good person.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about Willem Dafoe then.
Okay, because I think like we could have just scrapped all of that and just talked about Willem Dafoe the whole episode if we wanted to. Because
we very well could have.
You know what? When the Oscars were happening, I hadn't seen Florida Project, and everybody was talking about, oh, Sam Rockwell deserves the actor and Oscar, and he won it, and I was like, okay, fine. He was good in 3 Billboards. I have no problems with this. After having seen Willem Dafoe in this movie now, I do have a problem with Samuel Rockwell having won that award.
I don't.
You know, okay. You think it's a fair competition?
I think he still deserves it. Although I would have rather have had Willem Dafoe win it.
Because Willem Dafoe, like, despite all these wonderful things that we've talked about in the movie, well, like, the movie works without Willem Dafoe, but Willem Dafoe makes the movie to a certain extent. Impressively, like...
Oh, yeah, if it wasn't for him, like, this movie would have been boring.
It would have been...
For a good chunk of it.
It would have been too... unhinged, too sad. The thing with Willem Dafoe is like he's this insanely likable and relatable character, and he's not likable in the sense that he's this really like kind, like comfy person. You know, he's likable in the sense that it's like he's got a good head on his shoulders and he's making the best of the world, and he's living life right, you know, and it's like he's like the guy you want to kick back and have a beer with, you know. He seems like a genuinely good guy, and throughout the movie he has some tough decisions to make, and he has to do some tough things. He has to be the harsh person, but it's clear that's like not who he is, and he's as a character he's wonderful, and I would watch this movie all over again just for him. I was just every scene I was just waiting for him to show up because I was like, props to Willem Dafoe, man. He knocked it out of the park in this movie. It was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at a couple of different things online about this movie, and it all kind of comes down to that Willem Dafoe makes it. Like,
oh, for sure.
Like, everything else is kind of, you know, they're supposed to be main characters, but when Willem Dafoe comes on, like, automatically you're drawn to him.
I barely think the supporting actor nomination even makes any sense because he didn't support, he carried.
Yeah.
so he's a supporting character in the script. He's clearly supposed to be not the main character, but he's so good. He steals every scene he's in. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and it's not particularly out there like impressive acting like Daniel Day-Lewis acting. It's just like, if I didn't know who Willem Dafoe is and you showed me this movie and you're like, that guy's not even an actor. They just got like they got a real like landlord from like a property in Florida and just had him play in the movie, I would have believed you.
And that's why I disagree with you. I think it was as good as Daniel Day-Lewis acting.
Right. It's good. It's as good, but it's like it's a different thing. Where like Daniel Day-Lewis, like, you know, he's playing a character, but it's such a amazing character that you're just kind of...
Yeah, so as far as acting goes, this was unbelievably good.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say unbelievably, very believably.
Because it's like even knowing who Willem Dafoe is, if you told me that if he was the manager of like a little hotel in Florida as like his day job, it's like I could see it.
Yeah,
because
I mean, this is just thinking about the scene where the pedophile is going up to the children, and then Willem Dafoe sees it, like, yeah. And then intervenes. That entire scene, I was like on the edge of my seat.
Oh, it's amazing.
He leads this old creepy looking dude over to a Coke machine to get a drink because he's parched. He's only there because he's parched and he's been walking.
And there's subtext behind what he tells the man, because the idea is he wants to get the man a safe distance away from the kids, and he's just kind of playing along. And like, what is it that he says? He's like,
"You're thirsty? We're gonna get you a drink."
Were you you're thirsty for? You like soda, huh? And he's like, "Yeah, I like soda." He's like, I don't think soda's too good for you. I think you should try drinking something else.
Yeah, soda it doesn't really hydrate you.
Yeah.
They say that hot tea is better for you.
Yeah. And he brings him to the machine. He forces him to get a pop, and he just slaps it out of his hand, and he just brings the hammer down. And I was like, this is satisfying. This is like Willem Dafoe is he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That whole scene, I was tense because I was like, oh, this is a bad situation to put him in. But then at the end, it's like he did the right thing. And he got the job done.
He literally chases this guy off the property.
Yeah.
Wrestles him for his wallet and ID.
Yeah.
Throws his ID and says, "Get the hell out of here! I don't want to see your face around here at all. If you do, I'm calling the police. And I know your name."
Yeah, I know where you live.
Oh my god, it was really, really good. You know, it brings up that tenseness you get from like people about to get into fights.
Yeah,
it's that kind of tense. It's like, ooh, goodness, this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah. I don't have much more to say about him other than he's just an amazing character. And like I said, that showcases he's kind, very kind to the kids, but it's like you also don't want to mess with him. He does his job as a manager very well. I loved the character. It's like that is absolutely my favorite thing about the movie. So,
yeah, Willem Dafoe was amazing. You know, as far as it goes, he was obviously, you know, he kind of had to be harsh at some times because he wasn't the boss. He was just a manager of that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything he did that was considered mean by everybody else, it was just him doing his job. And, you know, that's very relatable. It's very normal to have to do stuff like that.
And his character brings the few moments of like levity to the film. Like he's not really the comedic relief, but he has moments of like the scene where he chases the birds away.
Yeah.
It's just little like he's just a pleasant guy a lot of times, and it's just nice. It's a nice reprieve from all the depressing like degeneracy that's going on with the rest of the characters.
Yeah. Well, and like whenever he's around, he brings around this like sense of peace, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He acts.
It's like seriously, he's such an effective character that like when there's something really going down and he shows up, I'm like, oh, thank God, he's got it handled. He's got it covered.
Yeah, he's gonna do something.
Yeah,
that's gonna help.
Exactly. I feel relieved when he shows up, and that's exactly what they needed for that character, because that's the role he plays in the story. He's the one that he just fixes things.
Well, and he plays this amazing father figure, you know.
Yeah, right.
Just trying to help Mooney's mother. I don't remember her name.
Me neither.
Okay. Trying to help her the very best that he can, you know, trying to get her deals on the apartment or the motel room that she's staying in, trying to essentially say that, okay, what are you doing? Are you getting a job? How are you paying for this? You know, come on, you know, you have a kid to take care of. And she doesn't want anything to do with somebody like that, you know. She wants to be very much on her own, even though she can't.
Well, yeah, she's like, you know, like I said, the issue with her character, not the issue as an issue of writing, just the issue with that kind of person is that they don't want help, but they desperately need it. You know? Yeah.
So, I mean, he does this great job, and the scene, or the picture that I kept seeing is probably one of my favorite scenes in this movie, where Willem Dafoe is crouched and talking to Mooney.
Well, yeah, because that's the shot they use for a lot of promotional material.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, it's a great shot.
That scene is so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he's talking to this 6-year-old kid that has just irritated him throughout the entire movie, and he's like, everything's gonna be fine. It's okay.
Yeah, and like you see that she's like, she just needs to be consoled, and he's the one to console her. And that scene's great because like the actual action happening on the scenes, like in the background, it's kind of out of focus. You don't really hear what they're saying, but the focus is him and the kid, and it's like he cares about the kid, you know, because she's a kid. She's just, it's not her fault. She's you know, in this life. So yeah.
So I mean, this movie was really good. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Ex Machina, though.
Right. If we're talking, this is one of the episodes where, like, earlier on, I arbitrarily decided this was going to be a versus series. Just because, and the reason I did this is because at the end of each episode, I was thinking we'll like give a recommendation, like which one to check out. But in this case,
both.
Even though Ex Machina, I still think I prefer Ex Machina just because of what it means to me as a person. See both of these for sure. So there's no clear winner this week. Just see both of them.
Yeah, and as far as ratings go, the Florida Project got 7.6 on user reviews and 92 Metacritic.
Okay, so critically more well received than Ex Machina for user reviews, just about the same.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Let's open up a list of A24 films so that we can see what we're watching next, and I can choose.
Alrighty.
Because I haven't chosen this time. I think last time I chose ahead of time, and I was so proud of myself.
Oh, we're not choosing this week, I don't think.
We're not? Oh, it was going to be a double feature, right?
Is it Fassbender week?
It might be. Yes, it is Fassbender week.
I'll get ready for some Fassbender.
Okay, so Slow West is the next...
I better type these down. I'm never going to remember.
Yeah, right. Hey, Josh came to me, what was it, yesterday?
Yeah.
And he was like, what films are we doing? And I was like, watch the episode, because I don't remember. Even though it was like two really well-known films, it's hard to remember sometimes. Slow West is our next chronological movie, directed by John McLean, whatever. Michael Fassbender, Cody Smith-McPhee, and Ben Mendelsohn. Oh, I know Ben Mendelsohn. I forget what else he's been in, but yeah. And then the other one is, what was it? Trespass Against Us, directed by Adam Smith, starring Brendan Gleeson and Michael Fassbender. So it's Fassbender week here at A24 Quest, and yeah, should be interesting.
Yeah.
Last time we did this was Good Time and The Rover. Remember? Because they both had Twilight Boy in them.
Twilight Boy.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Okay, so Trespass Against Us and Slow West.
Yep.
Cool. Looking forward to it. Now, we're going to go see Rampage, which I'm not looking forward to.
But you should. And
we'll record the rest of the podcast when we get back from that. So it'll probably sound different. All right. You ready? You done?
I think so.
Okay.
Watch Ex Machina, watch the Florida Project, enjoy both of them. That'll only take like 4 hours to do that. It'll be good.
Oh, public service announcement. We've got another Oscar Isaac movie coming down the line.
Oh boy, what?
Mojave. Starring Oscar Isaac and Garrett Hedlund. Yep.
Is he in the... That's not him there, is that?
No.
Okay, I was going to say.
But Oscar Isaac's in a movie coming up. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In 7 weeks, we're going to watch Mojave. And, no, 6 weeks, because we've already seen The Room here. Or Room.
Yeah.
So in 6 weeks, we'll watch another Oscar Isaac film. And then it's The Witch after that, and I'm super excited.
And who knows, maybe I'll pick that, because I'm excited to see Oscar Isaac.
I mean, that means in 6 weeks, we would see The Witch, which is great.
I hate you.
I'm gonna end the episode now. See you later.
Oh wait, I have a joke for us to end out on.
Okay, what is it?
Have you ever smelled mothballs?
MOTH.
No, have you ever smelled mothballs?
You said spelled.
I didn't.
You did. I'm gonna look. Okay.
Please do.
Have I ever smelled mothballs?
Have you ever smelled mothballs?
No.
Oh. You're supposed to say yes, because everyone smelled mothballs. What is wrong with you? Have you ever been to, like, a grandma's house?
Well, I don't specifically know what mothballs are, so maybe I've smelled them. I don't know. I know they're things you put in clothes, right?
Places where you keep clothes so moths don't eat and put holes in them.
Oh, okay.
Typically, old people's houses smell like mothballs.
Okay.
So let's just assume you have.
I've probably smelled the smell, but I don't specifically know what it smells like.
Okay,
Will that affect the joke?
All you have to do is answer yes.
Okay.
Have you ever smelled mothballs?
I hope this joke is worth it, because we
have you ever...
Okay.
I'm going to smack.
Ask me. I'm ready for it.
Have you ever smelled mothballs?
Yes.
How'd you get those tiny legs apart?
Oh, no. How could you do this to me? That's a terrible joke because it assumes that somebody, like, what if somebody answers no, like I did? Then you'd be like,
nobody's not smelled mothballs,
Okay.
and I don't believe you. And
I probably have. I don't know what they smell like, so it's like, I don't know, maybe not. Okay, good one. See you. Wait, I've got a joke for you.
Oh, do you?
An Irishman.
I hate you so much. I'm out.
An Irishman walks out of a bar. All right, see you later.